G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Eno from Fantasy Take TV. Today we've got the second installment of the Team Talk series that I've called it for the week leading up to round one. So today we've got MiniMonk on. He's a valued member now of our Discord. He's doing some stuff with the coaches panel as well, I know. So check that stuff out. But welcome on today, mate. We're going to go through your team and see what you've got cooking for round one.
Yeah, good to be on and good to have a chat about my team. And, there's a couple of spicy picks in there. So let's see what everyone else thinks.
Just quickly before we start, last year had a really good year. You play all the formats as well. With Supercoach, have you played that for long, or has it been more the other stuff and you're sort of more getting into Supercoach in the last couple of years? What's the story there?
It's more been the other stuff. So I had a background in AFL fantasy, and then I got into Dream Team a couple of years ago, and I really got into Supercoach seriously last year and had quite a reasonable season in it for the first season into it.
Yep, beautiful. All right, well, let's see what you got so you can hopefully back it up. All right, mate, D1. Who's sitting at D1? We've obviously got a few choices here, a few guys that went off last year. It's 600k. Who's your first choice?
Yeah, the 600Kers are very interesting. I've currently got Doherty sitting at D1. I think he's the one I think I've got the most confidence in having upside and being a top six defender for 2023 as well. And look, Williams going down definitely helps him, should improve his scoring. There's potential for mid-time, but I think his consistency is just, it's enough to have him at D1.
Yep. I'm actually the same. I didn't have him, but after sort of just the weekend, obviously big score, but just more trust in him. Like the only thing I really was doubting is he's just a little bit old in age, but he seems fine. He's now at a full preseason after last year and obviously those issues he's had, but he looks fit and raring to go now. So, yep, I see no problem with that. And he's at 31% now, so he's shot up a bit.
Is that high?
Yeah. Who's your D2?
I currently have Jordan Dawson sitting there, but I have toyed around with actually putting Sicily in there instead. I think those are the three in that 600k plus bracket down back that I have the most confidence in. And it's just about the extra 30k that you get from going from Sicily down to Dawson. I feel like it makes a bit of a difference with shoring up rookies on other lines. And that's the main reason why I've got the split between the two of them.
Yep. No, I agree. So I've got the same too, but we'll be finding ways to get those other ones that we don't start in. I would assume pretty quickly anyway.
Very quickly.
Yeah, it's just a matter of who you begin with. All right, D3. We got another one, or we going down here?
We're going down here. We're going down to Elliot Yeo.
Yeah.
I think this is just a no-brainer pick. He's had an uninterrupted preseason. He's going to be splitting his time between halfback and midfield, and he's done it before. So I don't think much more needs to be said there.
Not really. We could probably move on. I know George was like telling me that he was thinking about not starting him after watching him on the weekend. I'm like, mate, just chill. He's just last preseason game. He's trying to not get injured. He'll be fine.
Exactly. He'll be fine.
Who you got next, D4?
I've got Liam Jones sitting at D4. I think he's shown enough. He's clearly going to be best 22 for the Dogs with how they're playing him. He's going to be getting an intercept role. Should score pretty similar to how Paddy McCartan and Sam Koenig did, and he's got job security. So I'm worried about a lot of the rookies that we might have, especially down back. So someone like that who comes in at a relatively cheap price is someone you want to start. Yeah,
I was about to say his big redeeming factor is his job security. Like, he's playing every game. They got him back there to do that, fill a hole that they've sort of had for a while now. So, yep, you might see some poor scores, but I think, if he gets back to his form that he's shown in the past and which he showed last week, but, in the real stuff, I think he's certainly a fine pick. And then obviously Crozier is the other one. But, who's at D5 for you?
Jinby sits at D5.
Yep.
He should be playing. If he's playing, he's going to score. And with how few defender options we have down back, it's like, if he doesn't play round one, you just find someone else that's going to play and you plug and play. But at the moment, he sits at D5.
Yeah, he's going to be in every time. I think he's 60% owned now. So showed enough for everyone. Everyone's just locking him in.
Yeah. If he doesn't play, 60% of the competition's got an issue.
Yeah, so. Correct. Yep. D6, mate. Who's your last on-field rookie?
I think it's the most consensus D6 in the comp. It's probably Charlie Constable sits there.
Yeah.
He looked really good for my eyes on the weekend, and especially in the week before as well. They're clearly using him off the halfback flank. He trained there and played there in the second half of last year for the VFL side. So, I think that it's a pretty easy pick.
Yep, took some kick-ins too, didn't he? I guess my only worry
Yeah.
would be in like 3 or 4 weeks once those other guys, are trying to push for fitness. What Weller and who's the other one?
Pal.
Yeah, like does he get dropped? Obviously, yeah. We hope he plays well to keep his spot. That's the only concern. But
Yeah.
for scoring, yeah, you want him on the field, don't you?
Yeah, 100% you do.
Yeah. And who's just the two bench rookies just to fill out for now?
Yeah, I've just got Wilmont and Cowan sitting there at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm basically just going to plug and play any two that will come in, whether that's, McKenna, Kincotter instead as well,
Yeah.
or McVee comes in for Melbourne potentially. It's just whoever comes in, really.
Pretty
You've just got
much.
to pick the two that you've got the most confidence in JS for.
Yep. Yep. One team I had Chincotta there, and I was like, didn't have enough to get to Cowan if he's named, so don't be in that boat, like
Yeah,
I
you
was
don't want
with
to be
one of
in
my
that boat.
teams. So yeah, just be wary of that. Hopefully, Chincotta gets to go, so a bit more cash. All right, the fun stuff, the mids, big dogs. Who have you got, man? A bit of contentious here. Like people have been talking about, I think Clary and Laird for last 2 weeks, probably more than we should. But I guess if you're paying
Yeah.
the 700K for them, you want to make the right call. So who have you gone with?
Neither. I've gone
Neither.
with neither of them.
Yeah.
And I haven't owned either of them through any of the preseason.
Yep.
I know that that's a very controversial take. It might be my fantasy
I was gonna
bias
say.
taking me down a different line
Yep.
to look for value. But I've actually got Bontempelli sitting at
Yep.
M1 because I think that there's enough there that he can match those two. And the argument for them is that you can get a captaincy out of them. But I think if you've got enough players that are in and around that 600K marker, like across the lines, I don't think that it's that much of value. You can just flip it around a little bit more, and
Yep.
you get a score that matches.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll get to him later, but Dunks, like he's going to be a great captaincy option. Pair him with Bont most weeks. I think you'll be fine. But yeah, it is more of a super coach thing to just start with the big, at least one of the big dogs to get a captaincy option. I know that's not a fantasy thing because I watched George's video. He said like he started Steel, it was, and like Took last year and just did not work out in fantasy at all. Well, it didn't really work out in any format, but yeah. No, so I definitely see it. I mean, I've got one and I've got Laird at the moment, but yeah, it is a tough call. I know people have both. Like some people have both, so it's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah.
All right, so M2 then. Who have you got at M2?
This is probably the spiciest one. I've actually got Jack Steele still sitting at M2 for me.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people were turned off by his performance on the weekend, but I didn't see anything that, caused me any concern.
Yep.
He had 9 tackles, and that's where he builds his score.
Yep.
He's a tackling and a contested beast, and if his shoulder's okay, then he'll be okay.
Yep. That's what you want to see for sure. Like the touches will come.
Exactly.
That'll all get there. Yeah, look, he's becoming more of a point of difference now. He's down to 13%, which is like probably the lowest he's been in 2 or 3 years. So yeah, if he can find his form. I mean, I had him last year. He disappointed in the end because he did his shoulder, but that's not something you can control. Yeah. So yeah, if he's back to his best, he's definitely undervalued for sure. All right, M3, who have we got?
Joshua Kelly, the jelly himself. He's getting a lot of traction on your Discord, and a lot of people are getting very interested in him. And as someone who owned him last year, as well, I'm still going back to the well, and I'm still considering starting the great man himself. He's going to be getting bulk CBAs. Yeah. The Giants are running a tight CBA mix under Spike, so Pipes rather.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's shown his ability to be able to score at a 110, 115 rate if he's getting 60% CBA. So
yeah,
I think it's just it feels very easy to pick him based off of the role and the price.
Yep, it's really just his injury history that would stop you now. Like with everything else, he's ticking every other box. He's obviously at a bit of a discount, to usual, but just the amount of times he burnt you in the past, especially for super coaches more so because of just the trades, limited trades, and the timing of it and all that. Like what he was a forward a couple of years ago, wasn't he? In fantasy before Supercoach got the DPP, so he would have been highly owned then. That was the year I think JD had him and he played forward for half a year and killed him. But anyway, I'll move on from Jelly. But the fact that George has him in his team now is just unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. All right, M4.
Move to his partner in crime, Tom Green.
Yep.
Again, another player who's going to be getting bulk CBAs, 60, 70%. He's basically the only pure inside big-bodied midfielder they have left there.
Yep.
And he showed on the weekend, like he got 120, 130 score. He looked good in the process as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty easy pick.
Yeah. He's super coach for sure. Contested ball.
Mm.
530k. It's pretty hard to pass up. I guess just yeah, see if he can last us for 23 round or 24. You know, if we can have him the whole year.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
But yeah, definitely. I think a starting pick. He's a smash. So M5.
Hopper.
Yep.
Jacob Hopper still sits there. I mean, he cruised through their game on the
Yep.
weekend and still got 90 odd. Like, I don't think it's anything that needs much talking about.
Not really. No, not really. I guess the only concern I have, I mean, and as a Tigers fan, would maybe the lack of footy played in the last sort of 12, 18 months. Like that would have been they've been managing him nicely in the preseason. He's been fine.
Yeah.
So I don't expect a hot start. I would say because some people would say no, just get back to 100 like he has in the past. Maybe it'll take him a few more weeks, but yeah, I think in the end he'll be a smash hit at his price. So. Yeah, no brainer there for me. And then, do we feel just out with Ashcroft and a couple of rookies? That's what you got, or you got another mid-pricer?
No, I've got another mid-pricer in
Ooh.
there. I've got Finney Callahan sitting at M6 as well.
Yep.
And part of the reason for this is I think his role is really good. Yes, he's going to be playing outside wing, but he knows how to find the ball, and he's only 40k more than Ashcroft, and I think he can average 70, 75 easily. And part of the reason for that is that I don't trust having 3 rookies on field in my so pushed. I pushed Phillips to the bench in the process and just have Ashcroft and McKenzie sitting after him.
Yep. No dramas. I'll just add those in. Mate, bit of GWS flavour here.
Yes. Three GWS players in the space of 4 picks in my midfield. It's very orange.
Yes, and I think I was watching JD's video, mate. It's like you can't steal former, you can't hopper former as well. It's a bit of a flavour going. All right, who's on your bench just to fill that out?
Yeah, and as I said before, Phillips is on there, and just alongside him at the moment is
right.
Davey and Baker.
Davey
so
and
I think that's just a couple of rookies that are more likely to get games.
Yeah.
Baker looked good for the Dogs, and Davey, he'll be a heartbeat, but any rookie is a rookie at the moment.
Certainly is, yeah. Certainly is. All right, the rucks, the contentious rucks. Who have you got?
Tim English sits at ruck 1 for me.
Okay.
And I'm a Freo man.
Yep.
I love Sean Darcy, but I don't think Sean Darcy is going to do what people are thinking he's going to do.
Okay.
And he had a lot of good time playing in the preseason, but there was not much Jackson there. And he had Riley O'Brien in the first game who didn't really ruck too much. And then he came up against Lysette, who looked like you could have replaced him with a sack of bricks and he probably would have done a better job. It was not great.
No.
So, yeah, okay, he had a good game, but I'm not too worried about that. I like English as a mobile rock who gets around the ground. The start does concern me with his matchups for the first few weeks, but he's the type of player you're going to own for the entire season, and so it'll even out for him in the end. Someone might get him cheaper, but I'm just not going to muck around with it and just keep him there at R1, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess the injury sort of stuff he's had, it hasn't been major. It's just been a couple of minor things, but not concerned.
Nah, not really. I mean, any ruckman can get injured. Yeah. Sean Darcy has been injured through the years. Max Gorn's been injured. Brody Grundy's been injured. Like, injury history happens for a ruckman. It's just the way they play the game. So, yeah, not a big concern for me.
Fair enough. Rowan Marshall, pretty straightforward, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that one needs much explanation. There's been so much talk about him in the preseason.
Yeah, he's a smash for sure. And do you have Radigalia or you got the loophole?
I've got the loophole with Madden at the moment.
Yeah.
Just the cheaper price when you're talking Supercoach, especially compared to fantasy, like the extra 20k and being able to loophole immediately, it saves you a lot of pain. I don't really see any ruckman that will generate enough cash at R3 to be worth starting, aside from Radigalia. And even with him, I'm a bit concerned about how much cash he would generate.
Yeah.
And also about the extra 50k for someone that you're never going to field unless it's absolutely dire stations.
Yep. Fair enough. I can see there's some merit in that. All right. Josh Dunkley, I'm just going to put there and we're just going to move on. Who's F2?
Rosie sits at F2.
Yeah,
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 again, another player who's had a great preseason. He looked really good in the hit out game against Frio, and he's getting bulk mid time, bulk time on ground, and we know what he can do when he gets those.
yep, yeah. He's sitting at almost 50% own as well, so people are pretty set
Yeah.
on him too. And the next guy as well, you got Tim Torano. Is that the same? Yeah.
Yep. Tim Torano is the next guy. Again, he's going to be getting bulk CBAs. He's going to get bulk time on ground. He's going to be the main guy in that midfield. We know what he can do. I don't think that's a much elaboration needed for any of those. Like Dunkley, Rosie, and Taranto are obvious picks for a reason.
Yep. Just people popping up saying they're gonna, avoid Torano would make me scratch my head the last couple of weeks, and I don't know if they're still gonna do it, but all the power to them. All right, F4. This might be a bit unique. We'll see. I'm not sure what you got. But who's sitting there?
It probably was. It probably was a unique pick about a week ago. Not anymore. I will say though that I am one of the ones that jumped onto it. I did have Cornelio until about a week ago, but now it is Goulden.
Yeah.
And when you pop a game like that in a preseason, everyone takes notice. There's just it's an absolute out of the box game. But if someone can do that in a preseason game, let alone the fact that Mills was missing, he's shown not only to us, but also to the coaching staff at the Swans that he is a bloody good player. And so he needs to be getting the respect by their coaching staff and by fantasy coaches. It's why his ownership has gone from 5% to 25, 30% already. And by the time round one rocks around, it'll be 40%. And that mitigates all the risk in starting someone like this as well.
Yep, I agree. He's pretty much just shaved all of Cogs' ownership. He's down at 17 and just all funneled into Goulden. So, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've done it. It's hard to ignore, really. And what the 80K sort of can do for you is quite a lot this year, especially with, the rookies we're trying to fit in and, paying up for some 600K defenders and stuff. Like, it just helps a lot. So, yeah, I agree. We've sort of pretty much just got to go there, in my opinion. Surely Horse can see the light and stick him in there a bit more.
Surely he can. Surely he can.
All right. Who we got to finish off the forward line? F5 and F6.
Sheasel and McLean. So nothing too fancy. Aside from, the mid prices in the midfield and Yo down back, I don't really have many in my team. I've gone for a more traditional, guns and rookie style approach. And Sheasel should play. Who knows what the role is going to be, but we need a heartbeat on the bench. I'm a little bit less confident about McLean after watching their game on the weekend, not just in terms of will he play, but also his role. So I have toyed with a few other ones that I might play with rookie-wise there, but he's the one that sits there currently for me. Just, a lot of people are going to have him, and if he plays round one, I think a lot of people are going to field him as well.
Yeah. I'm sticking with McLean. I think he'll work his way into the set. Like he has missed a lot of footy. He looked good in the final. He played, off no footy.
He did. Yeah.
So I think he'll work into it. Sheasel though, I want to ask you, like, do you think he's going to play halfback? Or if he's named in the forward line round one, he's going to stick there, or what are you thinking?
He looked really good when he got pushed to halfback.
It's going to be a gun, but.
He will be. He'll be an absolute gun of a player. I don't have any doubts in his ability to be able to get the ball no matter where he's playing, really. So that's why I'm not too concerned about having him on field. Obviously, the halfback role would be much nicer. It's a cushy role. You can rack up the ball.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening quite as much as, maybe some others do. I think that would just experimenting a little bit. It's a preseason game. You try out a few different roles and see how players respond to them.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, and who's on your bench?
I've just kept it very simple, and I've gone Philippou and Green on the bench. So,
yeah,
look, we're pretty confident that Philippou is going to play games, and if he does, then he should generate some cash from that, even if he's stuck at full forward. But it's like the same as what happened to some of the rookies last year. Like, if they just play games, eventually there'll be a week where they make their 150K, and you can trim them off and move up to someone else. And then the same with Green as well. Like, Hawks are going to be bad and he might not get much ball, but there might be a week where he has 3 goals, 15 touches, couple of marks, pops an 80. All you have to do is wait 2 weeks and then you flip him off.
Yep.
And there you go. There's 120K and he's done his job.
Beautiful. Well, I don't think there's much else to ask. Maybe James Warple is one that is a bit more popular
Mm,
in. I know in our Discord, he's not actually that highly owned in the game. Less than I thought. He's like
mm.
13%. What do you see with him? Just not too much of a fan.
Yeah, so if I've actually got him in my fantasy team at the moment and in my dream team,
Yeah,
but not in my super coach team.
yeah,
And the reason for that is mainly actually because of Hopper.
yeah. Okay.
So in fantasy, Hopper is much more expensive due to the way the pricing system works, whereas here he's what 20k more than Warple is, and I think Hopper is a much better user of the ball, and they're both going to be playing essentially pure midfield. And I would much rather have Hopper than Warple. It's,
Yeah,
it's basically as simple as that.
yeah. I get that. It's what 2 year average or whatever with fantasy how they price it. So it's yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and you don't get as
So
much of a
because
discount.
Hopper missed a lot of games,
Yep.
yeah, he gets his discount applied to his 21 average, not his 22 average, and so
Yeah.
therefore he doesn't come in quite as cheap.
What about if you had the cash? I know you don't, but would you have him over
Mm.
Finn Callahan if you could?
Um, I think it's a tricky one. I really like Finn because he's so close to that rookie price, whereas Warple fits into that little bit more of an awkward price bracket where you need him to perform really well. Whereas if Callahan doesn't perform,
Yep.
I'm very comfortable with flicking him out of my team at round 3
Mm-hmm.
and bringing Phillips straight onto the field at M8 if he's performing. Whereas with Warple, you really don't want to be doing a restructure like that because that's 170, 180k that's either sitting in your bank at round 3 that you don't want to use,
Yep.
or you're putting it onto someone else and you know, you've maybe had
You
another
know.
failed pick along the way. So I'd
Yep.
rather just spend that extra 60k elsewhere.
Yep. Yeah. I guess your bench rookie sort of, getting a few that you might
Yeah,
need and
exactly.
stuff. So you might not even need McKenna, say, if someone else doesn't get a game. Yeah, I get you. I get your
Mm-hmm.
point. All right. Maybe I'll just ask you last thing. What's like the most contentious point that you think might change besides rookies, in the next, less than a
Oh.
week?
So I've toyed with the changing of D2. So Dawson is the one who I'm the least confident with, and he's the one that's most likely to make way if I need to get coin to fix other things up.
Yeah.
And the question is going to be then who to? And one Jordan Ridley has been getting a lot of love.
Mm,
I'm not quite as confident as others are, but if his ownership continues to climb and reaches 25% by round 1, then I might just do that and have the extra 100k to fix rookies.
yeah.
I'm still liking the idea of Hayden Young and Nick Dacos. I think that they're still going to be good picks, and the ownership on them has faded through, I guess, Dacos getting a tag and Young not performing to the level that people thought he would. But,
Yeah.
he played against Port. They're a hard team, and it's a preseason game. So you're never going to play exactly the same way you're going to play at round 1.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've also toyed with is Dawson going up, as I said before, to Sicily
Yeah.
and running Sicily at D1. So that's the position that's most fluid in my team. It's actually fairly similar to my fantasy team as well. That's the position where I'm struggling the most.
Yeah. Like I've got the same two as you. That I get my only thing with Dawson would be they get the Hawks, and I think it's round 5, and he did cop
Yeah.
McGuinness last year.
The
He
Finn
managed to get an
McGuinness
80
tag.
in that game. I think he had like 10 tackles though, so
Mm.
he mustered that up with that. Like touches wise, he didn't get much of the ball, as you can imagine. He's a pretty good tagger, so he's gonna get that
Yeah.
again, you'd think, unless they've sort of clued on to Rory Laird, but he just doesn't seem to get tagged, Rory Laird. So
They probably just don't see his disposals as
just
being damaging
damaging.
compared to
Yeah,
Dawson. I'm not too worried. It's the same thing with English. Like if you've got a bad game, it's a bad game, but you're not picking Dawson to make cash. You're not picking him
yeah,
to be a 6-week play. You're picking him
for
for the
20.
year.
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. All right, mate. We'll end it there. Thanks for coming on. You're doing a few things. Well, you've basically done the whole preseason, haven't you, with the coaches panel? So there's some
Mm.
content there for people if they want to listen. Is there anything else coming up with them in the next week you want to plug or?
We dropped a podcast last night and this morning, which is quite a good one. Had a chat with Rids and MJ
Yep.
about a lot of the preseason games, and it's a broad focus. So we cover not just Supercoach, but also fantasy and Dream Team.
Yep.
That's quite a good one. And then there's a cash cow stuff coming out for that as well. And we'll be doing some more in the preseason. I'll be doing some more stuff through the season with them as well.
Beautiful. And what's your Twitter? Just so people can find you there.
My handle on Twitter is at MiniMonk10. So it should
Beautiful.
be easy enough to find me.
All right, mate. Thanks for joining me. I'm sure we'll speak plenty through the season. Good luck in all formats, I guess. I'll need your help in the other two, but yeah, have a good season, mate, and thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like the 80s. Pulling out the coupe at the lot.